Hey, good morning and welcome to Breakthrough Walls. I'm Ken Walls and I'm your host. And I have a very special guest, Adam, on the show today. You'll want to hear this guy's story, so make sure you stick around and you share this out. This is going to be phenomenal, so hang tight. And we are back. Let me bring Adam on. Adam, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks so much. Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Hey, Adam, what's your last name? Is it Gunter?
Gunton. Yep. Adam Gunton. Yep.
Got it. So, Adam, I started this show about 3 years ago, and it was literally to help people have a breakthrough, to get unstuck in life. And we all go through the crud in life, and some of us get stuck and stay stuck. So, I like to start with where were you born and raised?
Well, technically, I was born in San Diego, California, but I only have one memory from there, and I've been told that there's no way that I could have this memory, but it had to have been before I was 6 months old. But I remember being in that house in the kitchen and my dad making me laugh. So I was born in San Diego, but I grew up in Littleton, Colorado.
Wow. Okay. So at 6 months, you moved to Littleton?
Yeah. Well, moved to Denver. And then I grew up in Littleton. At around six months, I moved from California to Colorado.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So what was it? And by the way, that's one of the most beautiful areas of the country. My buddy Doug Wing, who's watching right now, is from Utah, which might be just a little step. I don't know. It's all beautiful out there, though. The Rocky Mountains are gorgeous. So Adam, what was it like for you growing up as a kid in Denver, Colorado?
It was amazing. I had a great childhood. I was on the football team in Little League, the baseball team in Little League. I won state in wrestling in Little League. Wow. We won state every year for my football team, and we won nationals once. And we won state for my baseball team, and we went to the Little League World Series my 8th grade year, and I was the home run derby hitter.
Wow.
One thing that happened in my childhood that everybody's heard of, I actually went to Columbine Hills Elementary, and that's when the shooting took place. I was in 4th grade, and I actually ended up going to Columbine High School. Wow. But what a lot of people don't realize about that incident, it was incredibly, incredibly tragic. It hurt a lot of people. But what a lot of people don't realize that happened on the other side of that is that the Columbine community came together in a way that can only come from a tragedy like that. There was a new chant that we did. There was a new kind of camaraderie and family, and we all came together as a community. And I still haven't experienced something like that happened from something like that. So growing up, I was basically a golden boy. I was all the sports. I did really well in school, basically up until 8th grade, when I started getting pretty serious into my drug use and my drinking. So I loved where I grew up. I had a good family, an amazing family. I mean, one of my first cousins is favored to win gold at the Olympics in a few days for wrestling. She's
wow.
She's the most winningest female wrestler in history. And I've got doctors in my family. I've got big financial people in my family. But I had a couple bad influences that came into my life around 11, 12, 13 that took me from going this direction to going like kind of like this, and then steadily down. What I believe was missing was I didn't have a serious mentor and a serious person that told me like corrective action to take in life. I didn't have somebody that really gave me that direction.
So at the ripe old age of about 14, it sounds like you said 8th grade, you started drug use.
I started about 12 or 13. By the time I was in 8th grade, it was a daily thing.
Wow. Yeah. What kind of drug use? Like
started
weed?
with alcohol.
Okay.
Started with alcohol, and then it was cocaine was next, and then marijuana. Yep.
Wow. Yep. At 12, 13 years old.
Yep.
Right on.
And then I got my wisdom teeth taken out sometime when I was like 13, and then that's when I found my love of opiates.
Wow. So Doug asks, what caused the drug use? Bad friends?
One bad influence, an older influence, and one bad friend. Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
And I mean, and I'm not putting blame on them. I mean, I'm responsible for my own actions, just like anybody is. I know 12 or 13-year-olds that said no at that time, you know, but I think one thing that parents should be very, very, very keen on is who their kids are hanging out with. Because everybody knows the saying, we are the sum average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. That goes doubly true for kids.
Yep. Amen. I agree with that 1000%. Yeah. So you started on a rocky road at pretty young age, 12, 13 years old. And so how did things progress? I mean, were you still in school? Did you stick with school?
Oh yeah. I did great too. I mean, I graduated high school. I was still the captain of the wrestling team. I was the defensive captain of our state championship football team my senior year. We beat out the 7th ranked team in the nation for state. And, you know, and things were great. I just didn't know that the things I was doing recreationally were setting me up for an absolute disaster when I didn't have these sports to hold me accountable to being somewhere every day after practice. Because as soon as sports were over, that's when it was like I had nothing else holding me accountable. So
and you were subconsciously already, you knew the effect that alcohol and drugs had, and the escape from reality and all of that. So you did you end up graduating high school then?
Oh yeah,
from Columbine.
Yep. Yes, sir.
I had somebody else on the show. I don't remember who it was, but I had someone else that went to Columbine that was on the show months ago. But yeah. So you graduated high school. Did you go to college?
Yeah, I went to and here's the thing, like I was so dumb at this point because I was smoking weed like every day and using, you know, my senior year after sports, and like I actually had opportunities for scholarship offers for D1 AA and D2 football and for wrestling. And I started I literally just did not go to these meetings. I would have a meeting with a college and then I would literally just skip it and just not go. Like really, really, really immature. But then I ended up going to the University of Northern Colorado, but I didn't know why I was going. I was just going basically because everybody said you need to go to college and just to party. And that's what it became, was a party. But I had something happen my freshman year of college that completely derailed me, that took me down a completely different path.
Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so it was September 28th, 2008, and I'd been out drinking and partying like most nights my freshman year of college when I woke up to my phone ringing and vibrating down by my leg. And I swam through the sheets to find my hard phone with the bright screen that read 4:47 a.m. and my best friend Chucker was calling me. And I remember having the conscious choice that I could either answer the way like I always do with, "Hey, what's up, Chuck?" Or I could answer the way I was feeling with, "Hello." And in my still drunken state, I chose the latter, to which a soft voice replied, "Hey, what's up? Why are you calling me this late?" I was just calling to say hi. Don't call me this late again. And I hung up on him, and he shot himself.
Oh, geez.
And after that instance, I began consciously and I made the choice to use drugs for the first time to mask the way I felt, cope with emotions, and I used them as a solution. It was no longer partying and having fun. I couldn't tell anybody about that phone call. It took me 8 years to tell one soul about that phone call. And as everybody was like consoling me and saying, I'm so sorry about Chuck, and like, you know, loving on me and all this stuff, I'm bottling down lies deeper and deeper in me about this is my fault. This is my fault. And that's what I'm bearing with these drugs and alcohol. And now, instead of learning coping mechanisms with trauma, my mind and my soul learned that drugs are a solution for everything. So this took me down a path where it went from Oxycontin to meth to heroin to crack to all of these things, because I was searching for the actual thing that would take life away. And it got to a point where I didn't even want to be alive anymore, but I was suffering through having to exist when I didn't even want to anymore.
Wow.
And that's what I think is so important about us getting in the minds of kids and mentoring them and letting them know like the reality of coping, of trauma, and of drug use. Because there is no reason why I didn't go through all the horrific traumas that 67% of addicts do. You know, there's just a new kind of education that needs to happen for kids so that they don't go down the same horrors and hell that I did. You know?
Amen, dude. Amen. I agree. So, and I have 2 teenage daughters, so I'm telling you, I know all about it. So, wow, man. So you, I'm going to make an assumption.
Yeah.
You didn't graduate college.
No, I didn't. No. I left right after that.
Yeah. So, and there's another guy out in Colorado, my buddy Mike Phillips. He's out in your neighborhood. So you started down this path. When did you drop out? When did you end up leaving college?
Right after that happened.
Was that in your freshman year? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Somewhere in the second semester.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So, where did you go? I mean, were your parents still out there? And like, where did you go? Because I listen, just so everybody knows, which most people watching know, I'm in recovery with almost 19 years sober by the grace of God and a lot of hard work. But I'm familiar with this story, not the drugs part. Thank God I never did drugs, because I wouldn't be here to talk about it. Right. But where did it end up taking you? Where, like, did you just like go live with your mom and dad and sit around and smoke crack, or what happened?
So, I actually was selling drugs also. I was a serious part of the problem also. And I didn't, at the time, you're not thinking of the harm that you're causing to people by selling drugs, because you're loving the drugs also. And you just figure that you're helping people out,
Yeah. Yeah.
And I had my own house. I had a party house. I had a movie theater in the basement. I had a car. I had a motorcycle. I had all this stuff, at this young age, but it was all based on illegal activity, and that never ends well. I ended up getting myself into trouble and being put on probation, and and then I just faked my way through probation. I was able to find a place that would let me do UAs in the bathroom alone, and I would just do fake UAs the whole time. And this it just progresses. Like
what's a UA?
Urinalysis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I would go in there with fake pee. They would have these things that you can get for like $25 that had fake pee, and you just took it in there, and I just poured it in there, and
wow,
smoke Oxycontin before and after the UA.
Wow.
So I wasn't, but the thing was, I wasn't ready to get any better. I needed drugs to survive. I needed drugs to make it through my days, and I wasn't ready. And this just continued. I was getting jobs. I was always able to like, even on drugs, I was pretty charismatic. Like I was able to, I was good at sales. I started a company with someone who's still one of my best friends to this day. In 2000, we started at the end of 2011 and started knocking doors in 2012. And I sold like 967 accounts in a year, door to door for pest control.
Yeah.
And but it was feeding my addiction also, because I was able to get cash every day. And, that's kind of what, like, you can do anything with your life with a strong enough why. And if heroin is your why, you can do anything.
Oh my God. Oh man, dude. So wow, that's funny. So you're out going door to door selling pest control, doing heroin at the same time.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
intense. With the 2 to 3 gram a day habit.
Is that a lot?
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So you're going out, you're doing this, and did you end up hitting a wall? Did you what happened? I mean, where did that take you?
It was awful. It was awful because every dollar that I made from that company was going straight into my arm. I was living in this apartment that was like a rundown, really not good place. And I remember writing a little suicide note on an iPad, and it was so selfish. Just, I'm sorry I did this. I love you. And just know that, like, that was my suicide note. And I loaded up a syringe with as much as possible, and I put it in my arm that night, and I went out. And then I woke up the next morning. I was kind of like slumped over my couch with the needle still in my arm. My whole arm was dead. And I woke up and I yelled at God. And shortly thereafter, I went to my business partner, who's still one of my best friends to this day. And I told him, I can't do this anymore, dude. Like, I don't know. I can't do this. I have to do something. And he ends up sending me down I found this treatment called Ibogaine down in Mexico. Have you heard of Ibogaine?
No. Mm-mm.
So it's illegal in the US for whatever reason. But it cures withdrawal. Like, legitimately, I went down there. It's a root of a plant that they found in Africa, and it's a psychedelic, but it instantly cures all withdrawal. Like, I went through like a 36 or 48 hour trip laying in a bed, and then came out of it with no withdrawal.
Wow.
And so I was completely cured of heroin addiction. But the problem was that I came back to the same environment, the same people, and I never actually stopped using everything. I kept smoking weed, and I started using psychedelics at the time, and drinking. And then shortly thereafter, I was back on heroin, and I had left the pest control.
This Ibogaine, didn't you become addicted to that?
No, it's a one-time thing. You can't.
Oh,
yeah. Ibogaine is like, you don't want to do that.
Because I know that they, Suboxone is now its own industry.
Right.
Okay. So, wow. So you came back, you got off heroin for a minute, but you kept doing the weed and the drinking and all of that. So where did things go then? Were you still knocking doors?
I stopped doing pest control, and I ended up gifting my equity to my partner. I just said, I got to go. I can't do this. And we had built it to something big. Like, we had 4 trucks. We had a 2-story office building. I owned 33% of the company, and I just gave it to him. So I was just so excited to not be shooting up heroin anymore.
Yeah. Right.
Then I shortly thereafter got a job selling Dish Network and DirecTV, and I killed it in that industry. I was able to travel all over the country. These companies would pay for my housing, they would pay for my bills, plus they would pay me my commissions and everything. And I was I was usually always the top salesperson at whatever company I worked with. And it fed my addiction again, because I found, heroin again, and then it became another why.
That's crazy, dude. Our stories are so. I was one of DirecTV's largest dealers in the United States, and I sold the very first DirecTV system in the state of Pennsylvania. So,
amen. That's cool.
Yeah, man, it's crazy, dude. So, but I had a lot of salespeople, and but so you, that's crazy.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, man, after I ended up losing everything, I ended up going out door to door, replacing the Prime Star dishes with DirecTV or Dish Network.
Yeah.
And it was cash every day. And I was, I get it.
Yeah.
So that is nuts how paralleled our stories are. But so how you're traveling all over the country, you're selling satellite systems. What states were you in? Were you all over?
Oh yeah, I've sold satellite in Colorado, Montana, Texas, New Mexico, California, South Carolina, Georgia.
Wow.
Everywhere.
Yeah. Wow. And so how did that end up working out for you?
It was the last job I had using, and I did it for 4 years. It was so easy for me. Like, okay, if you have Dish Network, I'm going to give you Direct. If you have DirecTV, I'm going to give you Dish. And if you have Comcast, I'm going to give you DirecTV if you like football.
Yeah.
So, and people couldn't say no, because something about me in sales is that I never had to use dishonesty. Like I've never sold anything where I needed to use dishonesty. And I think that's why I was so good at it, because I believed in what I was doing. Even if I'm selling you TV, like if someone asks me, what do you have? Like, I don't watch TV, but I'm saving you $55 a month and, giving you the new equipment.
Right. Right.
But this, continued for a while. And then my drug use just continued getting worse and worse and worse. November 6th of 2015, I was working up in Montana, and I had a girlfriend at the time, and we were kind of on a break, but I had just left seeing her. I was lying to her about my drug use, and I left her house, drove around the corner, parked, made a shot, put it in my arm, got mad because I thought it was bunk, like I didn't feel anything. And I took off driving, and the next thing I know, I'm waking up next to my car in a pile of glass with blue and red lights everywhere, cops around me, paramedics around me, not really knowing what happened. And I actually I have that video, and I released that video recently because I had to watch because they had their body cams on. The police had their body cams on when they found me, and they pulled me out and everything. And I had to watch that video on a 52-inch television screen in front of my face in a courtroom. And that still wasn't enough of a consequence to get me clean. It still wasn't enough.
Wow.
Because for 2 more years after that, I continued to sell DirecTV and Dish, because I never did anything that made it so that someone wouldn't want to employ me. Like, I never stole from anybody. I never lied to customers. Customers always loved me. Even when they found out I was a drug addict, they would still employ me, because I sold a lot of accounts. And it just, yeah.
So had you committed a crime?
I had drugs in the car.
Oh,
yeah,
that's a crime.
Yeah, which sucks, because I got a felony for it, and I got a felony for having a disease.
Yeah. In
my belief, I'm fine with being political now. I didn't used to want to get political, but I think it's crap what they're doing to addicts, because it's a life sentence. If it weren't for my entrepreneurial aspirations and goals and mindset, I would be screwed. I have 2 felony drug convictions.
Wow.
For possession of personal use drugs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it's crap. And it's a life sentence because I can't get them expunged, can't get them taken off. I'll never be able to have a gun. And if I was to have to look for a job, like without my sales, I just think it's crap.
Yeah. Yeah. So you you said that still wasn't enough to get you to stop. So where did things go? You leave court and you went and shot up?
Yeah. Yep.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely. I was living out in California at the time. I was on like this interstate compact bond or whatever, where I could be out of the state because I was working. Yeah. And it just continued getting worse. It got worse and worse and worse. And then I ended up losing my girlfriend and all that. And then I ended up in a corporate apartment here in Colorado because we were doing door-to-door here in Colorado. And I'm sitting at my desk, and I had this computer desk in my room, and I had this drawer over here that had all my dope and stuff in it. And I had a loaded syringe in my hand, and I was looking at it, and I knew that I didn't want to use. I knew I didn't want to do it. And I knew that I had to. And I just started crying as I was looking at it. And I remember the way that the syringe looked through my tears as I was crying and looking at it. It was like a blurry magnification of this hell, this thing that was taking everything from me, but I still had to do it. And I sat it down, and I just started crying and crying and crying. And I heard this voice, and it said, "Pray." And when I heard that, I looked behind me, because it was obvious, but there was no one there. And I just went deeper into my hands and just started crying and crying. And like, I think I was saying, like, I hate myself. I hate this. I don't want to do this. And then I just heard again, "Pray." And when I heard it the second time, I got up, and I remember, like, I wasn't physically hurt, but I was so emotionally damaged, and I was so broken at this time that I limped over to my bed, and I dropped down on my knees, and all I could get out was, "God." And right when I said God, I felt arms wrap up from behind me and hug me, as if to tell me that I love you in this time. And these weren't arms that were hugging me from above me, like, "It's going to be okay, buddy." These were arms of somebody that had gotten down on their knees with me and hugged me from behind and told me, even in your lowest, even in your darkest time, I love you the same. And it filled me up. But then what did I do? I got up, spiritually filled. I was emotionally okay at that time. And I went over to the desk and I shot up.
Right.
Later that day, I ended up calling the CEO of that company, and they were the largest DirecTV retailer at that time. Yeah. And he was mentoring me, and he doesn't mentor anybody. He chose to mentor me because of the way that I was. Yeah. And I called him, and I was like, "John, I'm getting ready to kill myself. I can't do this anymore. I hate myself. I can't go out and sell anymore. I got to quit. I got to leave." And so I quit, and I went up to Montana. This is like end of 2016, beginning of 2017. And I end up back in Montana. I'm on felony probation for that case. Wow. I'm unable to pass a UA. I'm asking my probation officer just to put me in prison. I have a 5-year sentence hanging over my head, and I'm asking him just put me in prison. I can't do this. And for months, I'm homeless. I'm jobless. In 2017, I brought in like $5,400 total. And I lived off that. Wow. And the reason why I quit that job is because I felt like if I was to get rid of my income, I would be able to stop. If I wasn't providing for myself, if I wasn't, bringing in this money to buy the drugs, I would be able to stop. But it got worse and worse and worse again. Yeah. And I ended up in a homeless shelter. And then I thought that was rock bottom. Like, I'm looking around at my life, and like, I'm at a homeless shelter. I'm sick. And Then I got 86th from the homeless shelter. I was kicked out of the homeless shelter. And 2 weeks later, I was starving. And they had lunch every day and dinner every night for anyone that comes in. And I was standing in line for lunch. And the director of it came over and kicked me out of line. Said, you're not allowed to be in here for 365 days.
Wow.
So I was cut off. Nothing anymore. Nothing. And I was going, the thing is this whole time, I'm going to NA meetings. I'm going to AA meetings. I'm going to CA meetings. I'm going to church twice a week. I'm going to Bible study every Tuesday at 6:30. But why can't I stop? Why can't I stop? And it's almost like I don't understand, because I wanted to, but it was like the drugs were the only thing I knew that would be okay for me. They were the only life that I knew. So I didn't even know how to live without them, but I didn't want to live with them anymore. I did not want to live anymore. And I got to this point where and this is months.
Homeless.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I found there were, we had abandoned houses that we would be able to stay in. Like I remember one place where a bunch of us that were homeless would stay, and we had even a metal trash can with a fire in the middle of this house because there was no running water or electricity or anything. And yeah.
Is this this is in Montana or
Billings, Montana? Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
At least you picked a tropical environment.
Right. Yeah. Got cold, man.
I'll bet. Jeez. Yeah. So wow, dude. And this is in 2017.
Yep.
That's you know, and I haven't been in a homeless shelter, but I've been homeless. Mm-hmm. So I can't relate to that, but it seems like that's pretty far down, man. I mean, there's not a whole lot of bottom left at that point.
Yeah.
So where did things go from there?
It was suffering for a while, and I had to raise my hand every day, you know, saying that it was my first, second, or third meeting since my last drink or use, because that was part of the thing up there, and I was always honest about it. But it just got worse. And then I found myself in a car that a girl let me borrow, and it wasn't stolen, but I did have to start it with a screwdriver. And I'm sitting in this car before Bible study one day. I'm 148 pounds. And right now I'm 215. And at this time I'm 148.
Wow.
And I'm sitting in this car before Bible study. I've been trying to get clean for months, trying everything I possibly can. And I remember just like sitting back and telling God I'm done. It's like, I'm not going to this meeting. I'm not going to Bible study. I'm not going to these meetings. I'm not going to church anymore. I'm not doing it anymore. I've tried everything. I'm done. Just let me die, God. Please just let me die. And he whispers to me and he said, it's time, go. And right when he said that, I got so angry at him, because there had been so many times throughout my addiction that it had been time where I had taken a bag of heroin and put it in the toilet and flushed it because it was time. I'm never using again. And then the next morning I call the dope man to get some.
Yeah.
So I'm in this car and he says that to me and I start yelling at him. Like, I'm sick of this. God, please just let me die. What's different about this time? What's different about this time? I start hitting the roof of the car and hitting the steering wheel, and I'm crying and I'm yelling. And this is going on for minutes. And I'm just like, and he's not saying anything. He's just letting me get it all out, just yelling at him and yelling at him and yelling at him, because I'm so broken. I literally don't want to be alive anymore. And so I'm yelling at him. I'm crying. And then he just repeats himself. And he said, it's time, go. And I remember getting this, it wasn't like a power-filled moment, like, I'm going to do it. You know, I'm going to do this. It was like a giving up. like, fine, whatever you say, I'll do. I don't care anymore. Just please just take me.
Yeah.
And it was like, I didn't get power filled, but I just conceded. And I went to the Bible study. I was 12 minutes late. I swung the doors open. They were in the middle of prayer. I interrupted prayer and I dropped down on my knees and I threw my hands up. I said, guys, please help me. I can't stop. I can't stop. And I'm crying and I'm like, I used again. Please help me. Please help me. I can't stop. And Brendan, who is my best friend and the Bible study leader, came over to me and he like calls me down. He's like, hey, bro, let's just get through Bible study. Like, you know, they've been hearing this for months.
Right.
You know, I've literally been trying for months. Like, what's different about this time to them either? And he calls me down. We get through Bible study. And then at the end of Bible study, one of the elders, Carmen, comes up to me. He's like, hey, I just got a word. I need to pray for you. And he sits me on this ottoman in the middle of the room. All the other men left except for Carmen in front of me. And then Brendan and George. And George is another elder. And Carmen puts his hand on my shoulder and starts like speaking to spirits, like spirit of anxiety, spirit of addiction, spirit of depression, and starts speaking all these things. And I'm like literally feeling like I'm getting relief. I don't know how to explain it better than just like weight coming off of your shoulders or out of your chest and like just this weight coming off. And then I had this experience where he started speaking to the spirit of a cult because I have like this tattoo on me and I have like the chakras on me and all this different stuff that I've practiced in the past. And he starts speaking to the spirit of a cult, and this thing manifests in me. I feel like I'm growling and stuff while he's speaking to this thing. And he ends up like just yelling at it and yelling at it and yelling at it. And then I haven't drank or used since that night. And
wow.
Then 5 days later, I'm at IHOP, International House of Pancakes, with Brendan. And so I'm 5 days clean at the time, and that's a miracle at the time for me in the first place. But Brendan is sitting across from me and we're talking, and then I get a text message on my phone. And I just have this little flip phone and I open it up and it's from my dope dealer. He's like, hey bro, I just got some new stuff. It's fire. I'll give you a free 20 to try out. And right when I read it, I felt the spirit come in through the top of my head, all the way through my body. My fingers were tingling. My toes were tingling. I lost my peripheral vision, and all I could see was my thumbs texting back. And it was in like King James. It was like, ye shall not text me again. Thou hast texted me for the last time. It was going crazy. It was going crazy. And then at the end of the text, it said, and fear the pain you cause your son, because your son has been blessed with the Holy Spirit. And then I feel the spirit leave me. I was like, what the heck? And I look back at the phone because I can't even read it while I'm writing it. And then I showed it to Brandon. I was like, dude, that wasn't me. I was like, that was not me. You have to imagine like 5 days clean telling you that this wasn't me that wrote that.
Right.
And then I push send. I close it. I put it in my pocket. I'm like looking down at my pocket. I'm like, dude, I don't know what that was. And I look back up and Jesus is sitting across from me. The entire restaurant had completely disappeared. All I could see was his face. I was in the middle of a sentence. It was for a split second. Because it was just like, immediately knew who it was, immediately knew it was happening, fell with my face to the table, my hand up. I said, thank you, God, thank you, God, thank you, God. And I came back up and he was gone.
Wow.
From that moment, my obsession to drink or use was still not lifted. It wasn't lifted.
Right.
I had, for the next 21 days, I would shake needing drugs. I would literally tremor needing something in my body because almost every day was longer than I had ever been before.
Right.
So on day 11, I embarked on the 12 steps. And I did this with someone, and they say, look for someone who you want what they have, right? And I tried to find the person with the best business or the most money or the nicest truck or the hottest wife or whatever it was. And none of that was working.
Right.
The person who ended up taking me through the steps and saving my life was strictly alcoholic, had never tried a drug in his life. He was a gay man, and he had never taken anyone through the steps before. What he had was the willingness and the love for me to pick me up every morning at 6:30 a.m., take me to the movie theater that he managed, take me into the basement and do the work with me. We would read the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, no matter what fellowship, but we would read that book. We would do what it said. On day 25, I did the 5th step for my first time ever. On day 26, he came and picked me up in the morning in his 1983 mailman Jeep. And we were on our way to the movie theater. And I'm looking over at this beautiful sunrise. And I had a spiritual awakening that for the first time since I was 12 years old, I had no desire to drink or use. It had been lifted completely. Not just because of my faith in Jesus, although my faith in Jesus helped me to do the steps, but something happened for me in working with him and going through the 12 steps where the obsession left and has not come back. Have I had thoughts about, oh, those guys in the tents look like they're having a ball, Yes. For some reason, my head
in the tent.
Like that. Yeah. Like they don't have any responsibilities. They just get to hang out, use drugs. It seems nice sometimes.
Oh my God.
So I have thoughts like that, but the obsession, I know I can't use. I know I have no desire to. I don't want to go back there. That's all gone. On day 30, I still have the journal from this day because I'm journaling this whole time, every single day. And this is the first time I've ever had 30 days clean and sober. And I'm writing in my journal. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe you got me 30 days. I love you so much. This is amazing. It would be amazing if I didn't smoke cigarettes anymore. Since day 30, I have not had a drag of a cigarette.
Wow. Good for you, dude. Wow.
I believe that the mindset that an addict or alcoholic is powerless is crap.
Amen.
We are powerless over drugs and alcohol. That's it. When we put that in our body, we lose control and our lives become unmanageable.
Yep.
When we clean ourselves up with God, we are now attached to the greatest power that exists. And we're able to do anything. On December 31st of 2019, I took I haven't had a sip of energy drink or soda since then. Wow. And June 25th of this year, I decided that gambling isn't doing it for me. And I haven't, in my whole time in recovery, I've played a lot of poker. I've loved blackjack, just had fun. But it was turning into something that was taking up too much time. Yeah. And I felt like it wasn't healthy for me because sometimes I would go even though I didn't really want to. Yeah. So on June 25th, boom, it's done. It's cut. Not doing it. Because I do have the power to do that now. I do have the power to make decisions and choices in my life now. Amen, Doug. With God, all things are possible.
Man, dude, what a powerful story. So how long, what's your sobriety date?
November 6th, 2017.
Man, that's huge. Congratulations. Coming up on 4 years.
Yes, sir. Yes,
that's awesome, dude. That's so awesome. So what, so are you still selling for DirecTV? What are you up to these days?
Well, in early 2019, I started a marketing company with a couple business partners. We've grown that to over 20 employees. I think we're at like 25 employees right now. And we're in the multiple 7 figures now. And I'm actually in escrow to be bought out of that company because I'm going all in with Recovered on Purpose. November 6th of 2019, I published my book, From Chains to Saved, One Man's Journey Through the Spiritual Realm of Addiction. That became a bestseller. And exactly 1 month after publishing that book, I was at a conference in San Diego, California, standing in the back, just listening to the music that they had playing at the time. And someone I had never met walked up to me with a copy of my book and said, "Bro, your book changed my life. I have 3 weeks clean. Will you sign it for me?" And his name's Israel. And I just talked to him 2 weeks ago and he's still clean to this day.
That's so awesome.
And after he told me that, I had like this epiphany, like this is not about me. I don't tell my story for other people to hear my story. I want as many people in recovery to be loud about their recovery as possible because my story is not going to jive with a lot of people.
Right.
My story, some people can't even hear Jesus. But every single person that recovers from drug addiction or alcoholism needs to be loud about their story, because there is somebody out there counting on their story who may never get the opportunity to recover, who may never have the freedom that we feel if we're not able to give it away. And I believe before the 12 steps even started, it started with somebody telling their story to somebody else.
Yep.
That's how it started.
It started right up the street from me.
Yep.
It was Dr. Bob and Bill W. And that was, if you know the whole story, for those who haven't seen, I would imagine you've seen the movie with called My Name is Bill W.
Yep.
It's powerful, man, powerful. And you're right. And it started with Bill coming to the realization, I believe it was a spiritual awakening, that he needed to talk to another alcoholic if he was going to stay sober. Yep. And I totally agree, man. Freaking powerful story, dude. Powerful. My chills have gotten chills during your story. And there's so many things that are similar that I can relate to. And I talk about recovery. My first book, I talked a lot about it. Yeah. And so I get it, man. It's freaking amazing. Absolutely amazing. Thank you. Huge congratulations to you.
Thank you. And after that instance with Israel, I decided that it's my mission. And I don't know if I decided or if it was given to me, but I'm on a mission to help and equip other people in recovery to release their stories. I do a program where I teach them to write a book. I've helped a few people in recovery to write and publish their books, become bestsellers. There's one, Dr. Cole Hill. He actually was a touring rapper with strange music and Tech Nine. He would sell drugs, do drugs, party, and commit crimes, basically. Yeah. And then he got saved, and he was able to write his story from my coaching and my program. And he released his story to everybody that he used to rap to about completely different stuff. And he got saved by Jesus, went through school from bachelor's to master's to doctorate, and now he teaches high school kids. And then another one, Brittany Priestley, she wrote her book, Mommy Drunkest, and the DA that prosecuted her on her case of drunken disorderly and whatever else bought 30 copies of her book to give to women that he's prosecuting that are in the same place that she was.
It's amazing.
That's the power of our stories, and that's why I think the medium of a book or what we're doing right here is more powerful than what we can do just one-on-one. I think that one-on-one is extremely important. But I've had people message me when they got out of jail because their older brother sent them my book in jail. He gave his life to Jesus in jail from reading my book. I didn't send him my book. That's why I think it's so important that we start getting our stories out every way that we possibly can. And
totally agree.
So I do a 3-step process: write, speak, serve. I teach you to write your book. And then once you've written your book, you're able to tell your story in a totally different way because you know all the details, you know how you want to tell it, you remember everything, and you can go from this point to this point to this point to this point to get your message across.
Yeah.
And then I teach you to speak it, how to get on podcasts, how to do lives like this, how to get your story out to people that need the hope, people that are suffering. And then serve, write, speak, serve. Then I teach you how to take your story and teach it in high schools, middle schools, and elementary schools for prevention. They don't need recovery stories. We can't go into a high school and tell a recovery story because a high school kid's going to be like, oh, he made it through heroin addiction. I guess I will too.
Yeah. Right.
There's a way to teach it though, and a different kind of rhetoric to do to kids that I'm working on doing now.
Dude, that's so awesome, man. That's awesome. So you go out to the schools.
Yes. Before COVID, I was focused on doing it. And right now I'm doing for Q4 of this year, I'm doing another launch of the books. Then I'm going to do the speak Q1 of next year. And then I'm going to do the serve Q2 of next year.
So you said that recoveryonpurpose.com, anybody that goes there and signs up for your newsletter or whatever it was, that you have a free gift for everyone.
Yeah. So I actually give my digital and audio copy of From Chains to Saved totally free. And as of right now, I'm not using an email blast yet. All I do is just give you my story for free. And then when I'm going to be doing these launches, I will be sending out like, hey, if you want to book a call with me to see if you're somebody that is good for this program, click on this link. But don't expect, I'm not going to be sending you emails every day or anything like that. I just want to give you my story.
That's awesome, man. It's so awesome. Let me ask you a question, because I'm always curious, what people say to this. And, the first one is, in your opinion, there's a lot, dude, during COVID and all that, the suicide rate skyrocketed, not just in this country, but worldwide. Which I get. I understand the desire to die. I get it. What do you think holds people back from real success in life? And I'm talking financial, because money is important. I don't care what anybody says. It's important. Zig Ziglar always said that money may not be everything, but it's ranked right up there with oxygen. So the people that are struggling, they're stuck. They don't know how to get unstuck. Maybe they feel like they've tried everything and it's not working for them. What do you think is holding them back in life? What's the number one thing you think that's stopping people? And by the way, the number one answer is fear. So you have to do better than that.
I don't think it's fear. I believe it's mindset. And one thing that I was actually having this conversation with my girlfriend the other day, and I say that $100 will make 100 times the impact that $1 will. I'm able to do things right now for people. I'm literally, like, on my way here, I just gave a $10 Subway gift card to somebody that had a sign. If you don't have money, you can't do that.
Right.
I believe that people have a mindset that money is evil, which it's not. The love of money is the root of all evil. If everything you're pursuing is money, then it doesn't work. You'll never be fulfilled, and you're probably not going to get it. I believe wholeheartedly in tithing, not just believe wholeheartedly in it. I haven't missed a penny of tithe since I've been sober, and it's blessed me like crazy. And I have testimonies of God literally telling me, this is because of your faithfulness in tithe. Your faithfulness in tithe. When COVID hit and we found out that everything was closing down and we weren't going to get, our company wasn't getting any more money. What I do, I have different accounts for my money. And when it comes in, first thing I do is 10% goes into my tithe account. And I'll hold on to that until I empty it, like a month, 2 months, sometimes 3 months, to the charity that I want to give it to. And the day that I found out that everything was shutting down and we weren't going to get paid and we had no idea when it was going to happen, my tithe account just so happened to be bigger than my necessities account. I had no idea how I was going to pay my bills. You know what the first thing I did was?
What's that?
I tithed. I got rid of that entire tithe account, gave it to my church, and moved on. And later on, when it opened back up, God confirmed to me that he's blessing the company now more than he ever has before because of that exact instance, because of that faithfulness.
Yep. So
I think that number one and number two are very, very close, and they probably are even the same thing. It's the mindset.
Yep.
Every success is first a mindset and then it's action. First mindset. It's not even like belief. It's like, it's knowing. It's knowing. It's like a faith that if you read the truth all over the place, stop reading books from millionaires thinking like, oh, he's this, or oh, he's that, or oh, he's this. Like, success leaves clues.
Yep.
First mindset. Start reading. Start looking into how to be successful things. there's ways to become a millionaire making just above minimum wage 30 years down the road.
Yeah.
You can retire a millionaire no matter what you're doing for income right now.
You know, it's funny, man. I'm telling you, our stories are so similar. I've carried, back when I was a raging alcoholic, I was in church in Atlanta, Georgia, and the pastor passed around envelopes. This is a big, huge televised church, 3,000 plus people in the congregation. And he passed around these envelopes and said, "It's a gift from us to you." And it was Malachi 3. I still have this. I've carried it, right? "Bring the whole tithe and offering into my storehouse that my children may have food," et cetera, et cetera. And there was a brand new dollar bill stapled to the back of it. And there it is, still stapled to it. I've carried this for 30 plus years, dude. Yeah. And there were times when I was homeless. You know what that's like when you don't have a penny to your name. I could have bought a candy bar with this dollar, and something inside of me said, "Don't spend it. Don't ever spend that dollar." And I never have, dude. So it's so similar, man. I totally agree with the tithing and everything that you've talked about today. It's amazing. So, brother, I'm very grateful that you came on and shared. I want everybody watching or listening to go to recoveryonpurpose.com, sign up, and just grab a copy, the digital copy of and audio copy of Adam's book. Can you hold the book up one more time? I'm going to give you full screen. So everybody grab a copy of the book, or just go to Amazon and buy it. Chains to Saved, right? From Chains to Saved.
Yep.
Grab a copy of the book and
I sell signed copies on my website, also recoveredonpurpose.com.
That's awesome.
And if you want to follow me, I have a Facebook page, Recovered on Purpose, also.
Awesome. Is that all linked from your website?
Yes.
Okay, good. Adam, you're a rock star, man. I'm honored to know you. Thank you for coming on and sharing and being so transparent. And I believe that you helped at least one person today. I know for a fact you helped yourself. Yeah. And I know for a fact you helped me. So thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate that. So don't hang up on me yet, but I'm going to end the live stream. There's Linda Ann Barber. Linda, thank you for introducing us.
Yeah.
And Adam, hang tight for me. I'm going to end the live stream. Thank you to everybody who's watched and shared this out. And if you're listening to this on your favorite podcast platform, be sure to share this out so you can gift or bless someone else with the gift of hearing Adam's story. So thank you, dude. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys. Bye-bye.